Tabletop RPG rulebooks and systems can seem big and intimidating. On Too Long Didn't Play, we break down the seemingly complex content of tabletop RPGs in 5 minutes or less so you can decide if you want to check out this system in more detail. I'm a huge fan of the post-apocalyptic video game series Fallout. So anytime someone asks me if I want to play a tabletop RPG where I can pick through the irradiated ruins of the past, fight mutants while narrowly avoiding death, all while reflecting nostalgically on the subtle elements of Americana, I'm in. When those elements are laced with 80s pop culture reference and heavy metal vibes, I am double in. So I was thrilled to pick through the rulebook and playtest material and journey to the last outpost in Neon Lords of the Toxic Wasteland. Neon Lord started out as a BX hack, basic expert, so character creation is pretty direct. Pick a class, roll 3d6 per attribute, consult a few tables, pick some skills or spells, and buy your gear. However, from the very beginning, the irradiated day glow flavor of the 80s starts to drip through, with stats like burliness instead of strength and sleaze instead of charisma, or the fact that you can sacrifice a bad character that you rolled up to get a 1d4 stat bump on a new character. And where classes like the Deathbringer, War Wizard, and Holy Smiter might seem like direct parallels to the Fighter, the Wizard, and the Cleric, they aren't exactly. Their skills give them an ultra-violent punk metal feel that, well, it's deeply satisfying, and it's almost as addictive as the death sticks that you can smoke in the game. Now, this doesn't even cover some of the more unique classes like the Skulljammer that I played or the Heathers that a member of my party picked up. Every one of them oozes with subtle flavor and 80 homages. Like most OSR systems, the rules are pretty direct. For abilities, spells, and skills, you want to roll high on a d20. For checks, you want to roll under your corresponding stat. Remember that old school systems are lethal, and that your level 1 characters are not designed to be powerful players in the world. In OSR systems, your creativity as a player typically has way more to do with you surviving than anything on your character sheet does. Neon Lords is no exception to that. Our crew hired a bunch of meat shields and goons before we even set out for the last outpost, and before we were halfway through with the adventure, they were all dead. This can seem harsh and hard to a lot of people, but it's actually one of my favorite aspects of old school play, and I miss it when diving into newer systems. Driving hordes of hirelings and torchbearers before you, bouncing out the books, and managing larger parties is a hallmark of some of the early dungeon crawlers. And as we crawled our way across the wasteland, this came flooding back in a Technicolor haze. Without a doubt, one of my favorite things that this game's designer built into the system was the fact that your cosmetic choices have a mechanical impact. Your hairstyle, shades, and a number of other items that you pick at character creation affect not just what your character looks like, but how that character is played. My Skulljammer, Ron Pompadour, his beard let him hide items. My friend John's War Wizard cast spells to the skull bones of his ex, Katie. Our Deathbringer tank would whip off their Hasta La Vista glasses to dodge an otherwise devastating attack. Again, everything about this game drips with reference and flavor. It's a day glow preservative-ridden ecto cooler flavor. Now, I was more punk than metal when I was a teen, but as a true child of the 80s, I loved the perfect blend of punk, metal, and general 80s pop culture that Brian Shutter dropped into the backdrop of a hyper-color radioactive wasteland in Neon Lords. It actually feels like the perfect hellish reality for the apocalypse. I think my friend John may have said it best after his character got mutated into a combat frog, not Battletoad, and then overdosed on rainbow dust. It was fun to play in a system where we were all kind of rats, where we didn't have to worry about party conflict because we were just all scavenger scum, just trying to get by. Now, I think there's plenty of room for party dynamics in Neon Lords, but John's right. We didn't think about how we were getting along with each other, we just watched each other's backs as we slaughtered members of the Drool Aid cult. And if that sounds like a good time to you, I'd invite you to step in and become one of the Neon Lords of the Toxic Wasteland. Thanks for watching. My name's Tony Vasinda, and I'm Chief Alchemist over at Plus One Exp, where we multi-class and tabletop game design, beard and skincare alchemy, and the Bardic College of Content Creation. If you have thoughts about Neon Lords, or if there's a system that you want to know more about, but you don't have time to learn, let us know in the comments below or at Plus One Exp on any social media platform. We want to thank Brian for giving us a couple copies of Neon Lords to give away in the future when it goes to print. And remember, if you want more content like this, set off that bell to sucker the hordes of grotesque mutants into your overlapping zones of fire so that you and your party can loot their corpses and toss back a six-pack of Glug Glug Cola.